Welcome, everybody, to episode 5 of the Reptile Rejects. Today we got Lucas Lee from Centralian Exotics and the NPR Network. Dominic, what's going on with you this week?
Not too much. I think I officially turned off my incubator this week, which was a big thing. That thing stays on for about 6 or 7 months. So last few jungles hatched out. Incubator is turned off for the year for maybe another 5 or 6 months. So it's kind of cool. Setting up all my Japan order, which is usually the biggest one I do to move some animals out. It's almost finalized, and yeah, except for that, animals are good. I got one animal that's pretty screwed up that I didn't even know I had, which is really funny. I had an albino, just it was a albino het granite, but anyway, nothing special. But I always thought it was dirty. It would always had like little black specks, and I assumed it rolled in poop or something, and I just never did anything of it, right? So a lot of time goes on. Eventually, I'm like, God damn it! Like he's always dirty, even after shedding. So now this time I start looking at it, and I'm like, this isn't coming off. And it turns out I'm pretty sure I've got a paradox. So, which is really funny because the animal's a year old, and I never clued in that it was a paradox because there's only about maybe 25 scales on the whole snake. So like 6 or 7 here, 3 or 4 here, and all that. But they're like completely black pigment scales. So it turns out I have. I'm assuming it's a paradox. I've heard
Oh, yeah, when I saw the
chimera, and
picture,
yeah. So you saw it. I
yeah,
posted it, right? It's nothing huge. Like I don't know how to bring up the picture. If you're able to bring it up, you're more than welcome to. Um, but so it turns out for a year I've had a paradox and I never noticed it, which makes me feel like a terrible keeper. But I always assumed it was dirty and never gave it a bath because I assumed it would shed and it just go away, right? Because albinos always get dirty. So I don't know. Kind of cool. I mean, makes no difference in my breeding wise because I think genetically it's basically useless. It's just a cool animal that's different looking, right? Except for that, yeah, life is good. How about you,
nice.
Mike? What's new?
Nothing too much new this week. Got to work on some BC Reptile Club stuff, getting ready to go out to Calgary next weekend. Or no, the weekend after that for the big Western Canadian Reptile Show. So that'll be awesome. Uh, Nothing really new snake wise. Still probably a week away from Kentucky Pines hatching, so that'll be awesome. All 9 eggs are still looking mint, so we'll have to wait on those. I hope they hatch a little earlier, but yeah, I'll probably be leaving them together until I get back from Calgary. But they'll be all shed out and ready to start feeding because they're pine snakes, and they will probably all take frozen thawed right away. Yeah, Dominic, with the your jungle clutch, you hit multiple supers, didn't you? You had pretty good odds with that clutch.
I did. It was weird because it was a zebra ocelot to zebra ocelot. So you would expect about a quarter super zebras, a quarter normals, and half zebras is really what you would expect if I'm excluding the ocelot. And I got 15 eggs to hatch, and I got 8 super zebras, which is like that would be more like a zebra to super zebra. So way too many. Unfortunately, my odds of perfect tails were not as good as before. So I got 4 perfect tails and 4 kinked, which kind of sucks because sometimes they're like everything's perfect and you've got like a tiny kink and you're like, I can't sell it because it's got a kink, right? So it's really tiny, and it's the game we play with super zebras. It's one of those things where no matter how much you try to breed it out, I've heard of people, well, actually, breeding like perfect tails to perfect tails. It doesn't seem to improve it. So I've held back a couple. I have actually 2 adult super zebras of perfect tails breeding this year. So we'll see. I expect it to change nothing on the outcome. But I love super zebras. They're gorgeous animals. So yeah, I got a really high output of super zebras, and 4 good ones out of a clutch is actually pretty damn good. Um, and I only got one normal, which actually it's not even normal. It was ocelot. So which the odds were a little bit skewed, and yeah, and the entire clutch is basically ocelot. So which I'm still trying to prove out the ocelot gene in the jungles, and if you breed an ocelot to ocelot, you cannot get normals. They all have the basically that bullseye patterning everywhere, whether it be normal or whether it be zebra. The only thing is in the super zebra, it's patternless, so it doesn't show through. So I haven't. I'd love to breed like a super zebra to like a completely unrelated female, let's say a different complete line, to just to prove that it still pops out ocelots. But I've done a zebra ocelot to like a German line jungle that's unrelated to where they came from, and I get half ocelots, half normals, and half ocelot zebras and half normal zebras. So it's an interesting gene. I probably would have to talk to somebody smarter than me to figure out what it is. In my opinion, it's incomplete dominant because I only need one to produce it, but there is no super form. So which kind of, I don't know, like when you have it on both alleles. So if it's homozygous, I'm not seeing any different phenotypes. It's still only one phenotype. But if only one animal has it and the other one does not, I can still produce it. So to me, that's incomplete dominant. Um, when Lucas jumps on, which he's already there, I'm sure he can give us his opinion. You don't know? He doesn't know any better. You got anything more
I
to talk
have no
about,
idea.
Mike? Or are we good to bring in Lucas?
Yeah, we can bring in Lucas. I don't have much to talk about.
No,
Alrighty,
Lucas,
our
welcome.
guest.
Oh, go ahead. No, you bring him
Hello,
in.
I'm
He
in.
is awesome. We're glad to have you, Lucas. Hope you're doing well and having a good Sunday.
Yes, thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
Good. We're happy to
Well,
have you on, man. So, what do
we
you
definitely
think?
want
Oh, go for it, Mike. I'm gonna stop talking over you.
to. No worries. I think we just start off with maybe. I think all the listeners probably have heard of you and probably have listened to some sort of podcast with you on it. But maybe if you want to give us like a short introductory of how you got in the hobby, and then maybe morph it into how you're current what you're currently doing in the hobby, if you can.
Sure. Yeah, I started. Uh, I I loved animals my whole life, just like everybody that does this. But I started keeping snakes in college. Just kind of stumbled into a pet store where I went to school in Santa Cruz and picked up a corn snake and fell, you know, headfirst into the herpetoculture rabbit hole, and really found a stronger interest and passion for pythons, specifically Australian pythons, and everything uh, ballooned from there, very far away from corn snakes and more into the realm of Aspidites and Morelia. And I, yeah, really just started, building up that collection over a few years. And during 2020, I really started to amass a more significant collection and started to plan out, breeding aspirations. And then I proceeded to combine the passion for keeping it home with academics. And I went back to school and got my master's degree in zoo science, biology, zoo science through West Liberty University, studying in Dr. Loafman's evidence-based herpetoculture lab. And let's see, in addition to that, I also do podcasts sometimes, which have been through the Morelia Python Radio Network umbrella. I do the Carpets and Coffee show. And yeah, I really just love these critters and have been lucky enough to produce a good number of them the last few years. And um, yeah, I'll go with that for now.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm gonna have to call you out on the whole carpets and coffee there. What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you guys? It's not many shows on there anymore. It's one of my favorite shows. I want to bring it back on.
Oh,
What's going on?
well, thank you. Yeah, good question. I don't know. We need to figure it out. There's no drama. There's no bad blood. Just, I think everybody's been pretty busy, and we definitely did record a show a couple weeks ago that didn't get released. So gotta shake down the Podfather for the MP3. But yeah, I think just life's just been busy, but nothing bad happened, and we're all still here. And I'm sure there will be more to come, but I appreciate the kind words for our sitting and rambling show. But
It's always fun when you get to hear guys just talk snakes and have some coffee. It's always nice to
absolutely,
listen to in a
man, I never
nice
have
Saturday
coffee
morning.
because we always do it in the evenings, and I'm not trying to like ruin my sleep, but
You got
yeah,
to do it like Saturday morning or something when it's like a true like everybody's probably in their snake room anyways. It would
absolutely.
be an excellent live show,
I'm
but
saying, yeah,
also Saturday morning.
we need to optimize coffee hours and podcasting hours.
Yeah, but Eric's definitely done a great job. So if anybody's deserved a bit of a break in podcasting, it's definitely him. Even though he's still pushing out Zach and Clint's show and
Yeah,
Bobby
yeah,
Pebbles and Dr. J's show, which is always good to hear
absolutely.
them too. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
totally agree.
you gotta love the NPR show. Any of the Empire Network, everything they've done is amazing. I love their show, and I mean they've been doing it for so long. I get that they're slowing down, but I wish it was still like a weekly thing and they were all the time because to me it should never die. But you
Totally.
know,
And, I think it, there's no reason to say that it won't become that again. I think just a busier season of life right now for Eric, but yeah, we're all human.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Definitely. It's been a couple tough years for him, but we'll only the future will tell what happens. And even if it's only every 2 months or 1 month, I think all of us will appreciate however much they all contribute. But yeah, alrighty.
Totally.
So we probably want to get into talking snakes with you now. What are you keeping? What's currently in your collection, and what's going on in your incubator, and how's your season going?
and just
Oh, man.
before when you talk about what you're keeping, tell me where you're keeping it because as far as I know, you're in a tiny apartment, right? So like,
Yes.
how the heck do you manage the size of your collection in that tiny place? So tell us your collection. How do you make it work? Because I'm pretty sure you're in a tiny space.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I'm in a two-bedroom apartment in the San Francisco Bay Area. I guess I just kind of well, okay, so it's a two-bedroom. One of the bedrooms is bigger than the other, and when I moved in here with a friend like 5 years ago, and the bigger room was my room, and the smaller room was my friend's room. And then he moved to Scotland, and rather than replacing him with another human, I moved into the smaller room and filled the bigger room with animals. And so between the bigger room being full of critters and a few critters maybe in the living room, maybe a few critters in the dining room, maybe a few critters in the garage, that's how they're just kind of everywhere. But I try to do it in a manner that is, not like terrible. It's like I don't think I think you'd be surprised is what I'm trying to say if you came to my house how not chaotic and crazy it is. But I, my fiance helped with that as well. She wouldn't allow it to be dirty or too cluttered. But yeah, what am I working with? I have a lot of things. I guess I could just start going down the list. Um, Woma pythons, black-headed pythons, Brettles pythons, diamond pythons, lots of carpet pythons, uh, eastern indigos, green tree pythons, knobtail geckos, golden tail geckos, blue tongue skinks, mountain king snakes, rough scale pythons. Geez, I'm definitely gonna forget things, but I think that was a pretty good overview. And how was my season? This season has been wonderful. This definitely has been my biggest and I guess most successful, if you will, breeding season so far. I've been fortunate enough to produce multiple clutches of diamond pythons, green tree pythons, some really beautiful jungles, a bunch of those Centralian knobtail geckos, a bunch of Woma pythons. Did I even say Womas when I was going down the list?
Yeah,
I
you
don't
did.
know.
That was
Okay,
your
good,
first
good,
one.
good. That'd be really funny if I missed those. Yeah, and then we've got some Brettles due to hatch this week, and some Eastern Indigos due to hatch next month. So yeah, it's been a trip. It's been really fun. The only thing that didn't work well for me this year were the blackheads, but they lived to cause me pain. So um, it's all in line
Just
with
by curiosity,
expectations.
how many eggs is let's exclude the geckos just in snakes. How many eggs? How big of an egg season is? Are you looking over 100?
I think just under. I think it was like 80 or 90.
Have you ever had a season above that number?
No,
Okay, because I think
no.
until you get there, you realize how much it is. Like, because you have a full time job, right?
I do. Yeah,
Okay,
I work for an environmental consulting company.
okay, yeah. Because I've had one season where I kind of decided to breed everything, and I had 16 clutches that year of mainly Antaresia and Morelia, and I had just around 140 babies that year that hatched out. It was horrible. It sucked. Like
Yeah.
I can't even begin. And now my limit is always I only have one rack of 80 babies, like 80, and my limit is always it's got to be 80 or less. And I try. And
Hmm.
this year I hit about 70, and I'm like, it's a great number. And I'm just
Nice.
wondering because if you're at the numbers you're talking about, 100 is insane. Like when you clean the rack of 100 babies, that's minimum 3 hours, like
Oh
at a
yeah.
time. It's like, and you're
Yeah.
talking about just changing paper towels and changing water bowls. It's so time consuming.
100%. I completely agree. Uh I guess I'm just like a little bit insane. So like I'm having a blast, but I probably like I think the line where having a blast turns into living hell is probably closer than I realize. But I like if the blackheads had gone, like if I was sitting on like a clutch or two of blackheads that I had to get feeding to, I'd probably want to walk into the ocean. Um, but at the moment, I'm having fun. Although the diamonds, the first clutch of diamonds are not wanting to eat food, but
Ooh.
it happens.
Do you want to walk us through like your routine for maybe going through the babies and how you approach that when you go in to clean them all and what you're doing and everything?
Sure. Yeah, I try to do waters, at least once a week. More often is better, especially for um, things like the green tree pythons and honestly everything. Like I'm sure you guys have seen it too. If you change a water, snakes gravitate towards that fresh, cold, clean new bowl of water. They can tell. So I try to do that as frequently as possible and never more infrequently than once a week. Um, but in terms of cleaning, I do set everything up on paper towel to start. Just so I can uh, mist them down while they're doing that first shed without any issues, and monitor for whatever you would want to monitor for. But after they're feeding, after they take a meal or two, I tend to switch them onto a substrate. And then, just I don't necessarily have a specific baby routine. I just am kind of spot cleaning as I go and doing total bin cleanings as necessary. And I am not. So I used to be a field biologist, and would be out in like the forest for 40 to 60 hours a week. Luckily, I don't do that anymore. I am in project management now, so I work in my snake room, and I definitely like send a couple emails, clean a couple bins, send in a couple emails. Like I'm double dipping all day long, but don't tell my company that. So yeah, just I am fortunate to always have eyes on things, and it hasn't gotten out of control
And
yet.
what about the rest of the collection? So often, because
Oh
your
yeah, them.
collection is so diverse, right?
Uh-huh.
So to me, in my head, to me, all my snakes are the same, right? They're all
Mm-hmm.
very similar. I clean, I do a full thorough clean and bowl our water changes every Monday and Friday. That's what I always do. And then,
Nice.
every day you walk into your snake room, you clean the really dirty cages. That's what I do. You have a collection of animals that eat dailies, collection of animals that eat bugs, some that eat rats, some that,
Yeah. I
you've
used to
got.
have a lot of dwarf monitors and stuff too.
So
And
exactly.
yeah.
So what does like the general cleaning, like do you do it, are you spending 2 3 hours every day? Are you spending 1 or 2 days of big cleanings? How do you do it?
No, it's a little bit every day. Yeah. That's more my tempo. Just um yeah, I probably open every cage, every bin every day because I am fortunate enough to work from home. And yeah, it's just kind of a steady, constant cleaning at like rolling the boulder up the hill forever. And then or like how they like paint the Golden Gate Bridge, and then by the time they get to the other side, the other side they started on, they have to like start again. It's kind of like that. I'm just like, there's always another poop. But yeah, I don't do nothing and save it all up for a weekend of hell. I try to do a little bit at a time every day. Yeah. And
Nice.
some, as you noted, there's variety. Some things are just way nastier than others. The indigos are disgusting. Um,
How are those going for you? Because
oh, I love them.
you
They're
got
great.
eggs for them from
Mm-hmm.
them.
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
those due to hatch soon?
Those should hatch in September, but they take so long. It's ridiculous. I
Slow cooking them at 75 ish, 77.
78.
Okay.
Yeah, for the Easterns, 77, 78 ish. Yeah, but yeah, no, I think they're doing good.
Nice. Yeah, those will be super neat.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a little more difficult than I didn't real. Like, how those, I'm sure you like those indigo eggs are like, do they have the crystally kind of
Yeah,
outer part of the shell, and they're, yeah, that's similar to some of the Pituophis eggs I had. And even one of my female subocs gave me some eggs with all the similar texture to them, which is like really interesting that like different colubrids have like a weirdly similar egg texture and everything. But then the
yeah,
same species can throw eggs that are like not like that at all.
that's very
So
interesting. Yeah, no, the
yeah,
eggs are super weird. I had to like stop myself from just wanting to touch them, but um, yeah, I love the indigos. They're incredibly intelligent and uh, very, very rewarding to work with.
nice. You're just keeping those in like 5 or 6 foot cages.
The yeah, 6 foot cages, 6x2, and then yeah, 6x2. I was gonna go into a whole other thing, but it doesn't matter. Six
Yeah.
by two. Yeah,
Nice. And you're just heating them using a heat light or a heat panel, heat tape,
there
or
is
ambient?
it's mostly ambient because they don't need to be particularly hot. It's better for them to not be. So I
Yeah.
have in one of the cages there's a radiant heat panel, in the other cage there's a deep heat projector. Because there's just a pair. This is what I was going to go into. There's just a pair at my house, but I co-own some animals with a friend, and the rest are at his house. But anyway, I set the thermostats for those to like the upper 70s, and it just gives a little bit of heat on particularly cold days. But yeah, they're typically in the mid to upper 70s at all times.
Nice.
I don't give them a hot spot or anything.
Yeah, that's similar to what I do with my Pituophis because I got a few
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky pines, and I keep them with like 40-watt heat panels in their 6 or 4 foot cages, and one of them's at ambient, like on top of like a cage with a heat panel, so it at least gets a little bit of extra heat. But like I think the female maybe turned hers up a little bit when she was gravid, but
Mm-hmm.
for the most part I set it to like 75, 77. And since here in Vancouver the overall ambient of the house is, even most of the spring and fall, it's in the 60s. Like it's only right now that
Nice.
there's no extra heat in the room, and I sometimes have to turn stuff off because we get those 80, 85-degree days, or how we like to say, what is it, 25, 30-degree days. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, right on. I've been to Vancouver once.
Did your band come up here?
Yeah, we dipped in
Nice.
for one show and then immediately went back out. It was like
Nice.
8 hours in Canada. Yeah.
Where did you guys go?
Ooh, I would have to get back to you on that. I don't remember.
Was it just like White Rock, or did you go into actual Vancouver?
I think it was actual Vancouver. I can totally pull it up, but that's just not good.
Sorry, totally off topic.
Yeah, the last time that I was there was probably 2023, so I don't remember off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Just by curiosity, what's the name of your band?
I played guitar for a band called Finish Ticket.
I'm gonna have to go listen to it.
Oh yeah. We haven't been playing a ton lately, but I hope to tour again sometime in the future. Yeah.
Very nice.
We'll see.
Nice.
So you obviously keep a lot of species. Many of them interest me very much. The one that I'd love to talk about now, if you guys don't mind changing topics, is diamond pythons. So you've
Sure.
had a tremendous amount of success. Did you acquire the animals just recently? Have you been keeping them for a while? Do you want to kind of guide me through your diamond python journey? Let us know how it
Sure.
went, because
Yeah.
I just acquired diamonds. I've been keeping them now for about 3 years, and it's my first year breeding. I'm in a much colder environment than you, and I'm not sure I can get them that cold. So I'd love to know how you did it.
Sure. So the diamonds are a project with my good friend Alex, who I partner with on a lot of animal stuff. He acquired the group of animals for us maybe in like 2021 when they were little guys. And so we've been raising them up over the past few years. And he is also my next door neighbor here in the apartment triplex. And we kept the adults in like Zoomed iguana cages out on his balcony, because we're on the second story here. And so they were kept outdoors full time, and we just let them get as cold as Oakland gets in the winter, which, you know, is pretty consistent mid to low 40s during the real cold of winter. And so it was really easy to
You said
give them
Oakland,
that.
though. I thought you lived in San Francisco.
I live in Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay, that's not San Francisco. It's somewhere else, right?
Correct. Oakland is right across the bay from San Francisco.
All right. So still similar.
People
It gets that
refer
cold
to
there?
that area as the San Francisco Bay Area. Yes, it does. We don't get very many days, much below like 42 to 46 at night, but during the winter, it's pretty consistently in the upper 40s, lower 50s.
And do you hide
At
the
night.
animals on the balcony for the onlookers or things like that, or you just left it out in the open?
It's not facing the street, so no onlookers.
I feel like I would
Luckily.
be hiding everything. I'd be like, I don't want anybody to know I have animals, like especially on a balcony.
Yeah, that's fair. The sight lines are such that it's not particularly exposed back there. It's kind of like just bordered by backyards. So some people could probably see it, but yeah, nothing bad
Okay,
has happened.
fair enough. Keep going. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no. So they were out there for the entirety of like the year leading up to breeding, and then the winter, including the winter. So we cooled them out there, and they had been very cold at night for maybe 3 months or so, and I said, that's probably good. So we moved them inside into some 4x2 cages I had in my place, and I warmed them up in my cages here rather than waiting for the seasons to change to naturally warm them up outside, because it was going to be a little while. And then just like Brettles, which, I kind of cut my teeth breeding snakes with Brettles pythons, and I treated the diamonds just the same. I fed them a succession of meals really fast after they were warmed up: small, medium, large, triggered a shed, toss in the boy right after the shed, one and done on the locks, and then ovulation and eggs. Boom, boom.
How big's your group?
So with the adult animals, we have 1.2. So the two females that laid this year. There's an additional female that's a year or two younger that we're raising up. And then I also acquired some animals from Martin Rosemond from his clutch last year. So some small ones coming up as well. But for the breeder group is a 1.2 with a third female trailing a year or two behind.
Very cool. And what lineage are you breeding?
They are the Gosford animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very incredible. Really lucky and grateful to be working with them. They're exquisite and really fun.
Did you ever pair them up at all before doing the three meals and then the first shed? Because I know a lot of people tend to either pair them while they're cooling or pair them once you start the warming up process. Like the way you're talking about, you probably started warming them up, and the warm up process can take a month, right? I'm assuming.
I warm them up.
Or
I tend to warm things up quicker than like the gradual cooling. I do take about a month to
yeah,
get things colder, but I don't really ramp warm up too much. Um, maybe a week or two. But let's see. Yeah, to answer your question, the boy was also in the iguana cages for the winter to cool with the female. But I believe we left him just with one of the two girls during the winter. We weren't like passing him between the two. But yeah, wanted him to get equally cold as well. So
did he show any interest while he was with the other girl, while during the cooling, or not at all? Just cuddling and nothing much
no,
more than
not
that.
that we observed. Yeah, just when they warmed up
Hmm.
and had a few meals and started their cycle.
Yeah.
And did you try any cooling prior, like the years prior, or is this like the first year you tried it first time and it's worked?
I did cool them the winters prior um, just for maintaining health, in terms of diamonds kind of needing that period of cold, unlike other species, diamond python syndrome, et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't cool them like as long or as deep. I just, I'd put them outside still, but not for as long. Yeah.
Let me ask
Nice.
that question differently. Did you feed your non-breeding adults, so let's say even a yearling or a neo, do you still feed them during cooling season, or do you not cool them at all? Because I know some people will not cool at all for the first year so they can feed them more and get them bigger. How about from a year to three? Did you still feed during winter, or did you cool them down and no feed during that whole time? Making you think there.
Yeah. I think that we did feed but again, they were outside. So it was like during periods of time where it wasn't particularly cold, like they'd still take food and digest and do just fine with like 50s at night. And, we'd have supplemental overhead
Yeah,
heat
just
during the
smaller
day.
meals kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we're just hesitant to feed when it's like getting into the 40s at night, but anything short of that, they handle it like just like a carpet python handles something in the 70s. They are still hunting and in hunting pose in the 40s. It's very impressive, but we didn't want to push the envelope that far, I suppose. What's the point? But yeah, they handled food just fine in the 60s and even I think some nights in the upper 50s.
How are the babies doing for you now that they've hatched out? Are
They're
they
doing
becoming a
great, but like
pain? Do
I
you
said,
have?
they are a pain in terms of, well, so the second clutch hasn't shed yet. The second clutch hatched on the 28th, so very recently. The first clutch hatched on the 11th and of July, in both cases, to be clear. And they have shed, and they're just being tricky little buggers with feeding trials so far. Out of the 11 in that first clutch, I've gotten 2 to eat a couple button quail, and everybody else says no to eating.
I think we all get those every now and then. Like out of all the clutches, I had 8 clutches this year, and one of them is terrible, and it's my inland pythons. None of them have. I've gotten
Yeah.
11 babies or 10. Not one. Not only is not one not eating, but not one of them has had their first shed, and I'm at about a 5 weeks plus. So it's really
Wow.
weird. It's
Wacky.
none of them are
Yeah.
shedding, none of them are eating. It's
Yeah, in
so annoying.
talking with folks, it sounds like diamonds, inlands, and rough scales are kind of the 3 in a similar boat that can be pretty tricky to get feeding, compared to other Morelia.
Are you thinking of trying maybe obviously like the chick down on like a fuzzy, or do you want to just go straight to small hoppers that are kind of bouncing around and even
So
though they
I've
look
tried
really
both.
okay, yeah.
Let's see. So far I've tried just your standard live offering. I've tried your standard drop fed frozen thawed. I've tried the button quail. I've tried frozen thawed, scalped. So, bloody skull cap exposed, which works for some reason. It's gnarly, but anyway. And then I also tried washing Fuzzy with deodorizing soap and some chick down and some Reptilinks Anole scent. Yeah, I've tried a bunch of stuff, and this isn't all like I've been trying different portions of the group with different things. Like I'll do 3 this way, 4 this way, 4 this way, just to see if anything was working better than others. Because I don't want to bother them. Like I don't want to try something new every day. So give them a couple days of not bothering them after each attempt. But yeah, so far no luck, except for the 2 that like quail.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
To
And
pivot from
I have
that,
some knobtail gecko shed skin that I'm looking at potentially like wrapping some fuzzies in next.
yeah, I was gonna joke. Well, maybe you got to feed off a couple of the ABA.
I
Although
dude,
that'd be a pretty expensive meal.
if it meant that all the diamonds ate, I'd grind one up.
Expensive gecko. There's
How,
a lot cheaper ones.
Yeah, that's true. Never mind. I take it
You
back.
want to switch up the species there, Michael? I think you're.
yeah, speaking of difficult Morelia, how are those chondros doing for you?
Oh, so yeah, no, it's so funny, man. Like that's what I thought was going to be my challenge this year. Like I thought that's what was going to have me banging my head against the wall. 12 out of 14 ate frozen out of the egg, unscented. Stupid, absolutely ridiculous, and they're all
Amazing.
doing great.
What did you breed? What are
They're
you?
sarongs.
Sarong, pure sarong to pure
Mhm.
sarong.
Yeah,
Are you on the team pure or on the team hybrid?
absolutely. No,
I'd say designer, but I'm saying team hybrid.
yeah, I do not have any interest in that.
All right. All right. Good man. Good man.
Yeah.
How
I
was
mean, more power to everyone, but it seems like a waste of time.
oh, I love the look of them. I get more out of the
Eh.
pure. I get more out of the pure. So, why'd you decide to go into green trees? And is that the only pair you have?
Um, why did I've always loved green trees. I think they're incredible, and I had an Aru back in 2020 that was my first foray into chondros, and I loved that snake. I ended up selling her to Lisa Farina, and Lisa got her to lay last season, which is awesome because that was probably at this point that snake's probably like a 20-year-old import, which was, just guessing, but just covered in scars, super old. Anyway, after that, I didn't have them for a while, and I've always wanted to get back into it in a more like focused and serious way. So an opportunity came up to acquire a pair of adult sarongs. And so my friend Jack and I went in and did that together. And the snakes maybe got here in October, and I set them up in quarantine in the garage, and it was raining the night we brought them home. I put them together. They locked up, and that's the only time I've seen them lock. And she laid eggs, a few months after being here. So
Can,
that just was really lucky.
can you feel all the people who try to breed chondros like just being pissed off at you right now? Like,
I
who
think
does that
people,
happen to?
yeah, no, it got really lucky. And I mean, the dude that like sold us the pair was like just some old guy that only had like 4 snakes, just 4 chondros. I think he kind of had like chondros as like a display, like the way that people do tropical fish. And he had never paired them. He had full lineage. I have pictures of their grandparents and all that good stuff. He kept his records well, but they were like 9-year-old animals that had never met each other before. And so I think they were really ready to reproduce. And so, yeah, it was awesome.
What happened to those chondros that the almighty Ryan Young sent you a couple of years ago?
And then that was actually just all within the last year. I do have some manicories as well from Ryan. So I picked up 2 babies from him, and they both turned out to be females, which was lucky. And I have a male from him as well, who is a farm hatch that's a little bit older. So I'm hoping that he hangs on and the girls grow up, and then bada bing, bada boom, more manicories.
Nice. Those manicores are definitely neat. If I was to keep chondros, I think it would probably have to be like manicories or arus or even just pure biocs.
Totally.
If people would even just breed pure biocs, because honestly, they're pretty cool. Like you get a yellow and green snake, or you get a green snake. Like I'd prefer to have a green snake with just a little bit of blue and a little bit of white. That'd be awesome.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. I really love the polker animals. I think they're my favorite. So super excited to have the sarong project jump started with this clutch, and then the manicories coming down the pike. And then I do also have a pair of Arfox from Patrick Holmes that are farm hatch imports as well.
Nice. Are those like I feel like I've kind of know where that's from, but whereabouts are the Arfac animals? Are those like
it's also
Bioc-ish?
Northwestern. Yeah, they're
Okay.
they're the same snake as like the sarongs and the manicories.
Okay.
The polker
That makes
type.
sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been trying to get into green trees. I bought 12 green tree imports that should have arrived 6 months ago, and I am still waiting.
Oh no!
I am still waiting. One day they will arrive, and I
that
went
sounds
in
like
for
a story.
It's a long story that I will not say anything until they arrive because I still have hope. I we went with I went in with a buddy. We got 4 BX because I just love BX. I think they're one of the prettiest ones. 4 Artifact and 4 Cyclops is the 12
Sweet.
that we picked, and we assumed with 4 there's a good chance we'll have at least one of each sex. So that's kind of the hope.
Yeah. You'd hope.
It's I hope, right? But that's been such a freaking long story, man. Apparently the permits have now just been approved because they go on quotas and all that. And the first quotas was they're saying that it was the quotas for captive bred animals or farm hatched, and the second quota is for the wild caught. And it's been a long story, but anyway, the second quota for the wild caught has just been approved, so should be coming in the next few weeks. But I've heard that story like 12 times.
Yeah.
So,
well, fingers crossed.
I might get more pissed off as weeks goes on. Yeah, let's hope.
I thought they couldn't even be wild caught. I thought they had to be captive hatched.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I export a lot of my animals, but the important thing, I didn't want to get into it because I don't import enough to make it worthwhile. It's the first time I'll own a wild caught animal in my life. I've never dealt with wild caught, so it's I guess we'll see.
Super cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
I mean, they're a trip. I really enjoy them.
Maybe I'll join your band. Well, not your band, but for the green trees.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, jumping in somewhere else. Oh, you got more? Go, Michael.
Or no, I was just going to ask how many are you going to hold back, or do you have a plan for that?
So my friend and I are planning to raise up all 14 at least to the point of being able to sex them. So probably for the better part of a year or so. And we'll also just get a better idea of what everybody's turning into.
Sarongs are all yellows, right?
They were in my case. I think that there are rare red babies, but not common. And you would need, one of the parents to have been that. So all yellows for me.
How about your artifacts? Those produce mainly reds, no?
I thought that they were also yellow, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. I like the yellow babies. Like I think that it's kind of dumb.
Team yellow.
I mean, it's just ridiculous that, in my opinion, that like a red Maniquori is twice as expensive as a yellow one. I think that's silly, but to each their own.
Yeah, I like the idea of having mixed clutches. So I'd like I'd like a red and pairing it up with a yellow purely to have the odds of having everything. Exactly. Yeah. So to me, that's what's beautiful is having that clutch with the mixed colors in there. I think
completely
it's
agree.
Like the best picture out there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. If I could acquire a red male Maniquori for the yellow females to do just what you're saying, I think that would be really fun. But they're the same snake. I think it's the way the tribalism of it is very indicative of our monkey brains and how we do things. But yeah.
Totally get that. So the next part I wanted to jump in is Aspidites. And before even going into them, can you tell us a bit about the upcoming book, what you guys are doing, who you're working with, how that started, basically anywhere you want to go in there?
Sure. Yeah. So when I was doing my master's program in the herp lab, I cycled through a few different projects for my thesis to graduate, and everything from a reproductive study with Brettles pythons to working with a researcher in Australia on some proprietary radio tracking data with Womas. But eventually what ended up happening was I decided to write a book instead, and basically combine everything that I could find, about the Aspidites genus in the academic literature, along with, talking to the researcher in Australia who I was talking to for the other project that almost worked out. And yeah, basically Dr. Loafman and I decided that that would be a worthwhile pursuit. And I drafted the complete manuscript in order to graduate. And now I wanted it to be just the biggest, baddest, best Aspidites book possible. So I brought on Nick Mutton and Justin Julander to be my co-authors on it. And they are working with me on, building out and expanding and editing the manuscript that I wrote for grad school, and, just beefing it up as a team. And yeah, we're all apparently busier than we thought we were, because it was something that was hopefully going to be done, like this year, but that's probably not going to be the case, but it's in the works. Yeah.
Very cool. So going into Aspidites, so you can definitely go into how it is in the wild, but one of my big things is what's the difference between an Eastern and a Western? How do you tell them apart? Maybe kind of going into that for the captive setting and for the wild setting.
Okay. Yeah. So specifically for blackheads, right?
Yeah, definitely blackheads. We can.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, yeah, I guess I should say that right now. So yes, blackheads, not womas.
So the Eastern form and the Western form of the black-headed python, there is definitely, like, it's not 100% understood whether there is a firm barrier to gene flow, but if one exists, it probably exists somewhere around the Kimberley. That's my understanding. And it's often observed that the Western form animals are a little bit smaller on average, tend to be more kind of cream white against the black banding, whereas kind of the Eastern form, and when I say that, I'm saying anything that's not a Western, but yeah, like, because people are like, the Northern Territory, like animals in the middle of the continent, I'm calling Eastern form, even though it's not in the East, because it is east of West, if that makes sense. But those animals tend to be a little bit bigger and kind of more earthy brown, and kind of, more reds and things like that. But it is definitely not, it's kind of a, there's variation, and there's a spectrum of phenotypes, and it's not super reliable. You'll see animals in Western Australia that don't look like what people call Westerns in the hobby, I guess, is kind of the point I'm trying to make. So I think it's like, it's something that's rooted in truth, but has also taken a little bit of a life of its own based on what people expect to see from the animals in the hobby. Whereas I think that there's just more variation in nature. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But they're the same species. There's not like subspecific designation between the two. There are some differences in scale count that the Barkers discussed in their 1994 book. So there's definitely some differences there, but not enough to call them subspecies or anything like that.
So that's why you're calling it a different form, right? So in other words, it's, would you almost say like locality?
Totally. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the fair way to categorize it. Yeah.
So then when you're talking about Westerns, you're like, is it frowned upon to breed an Eastern to a Western? In your opinion? Would you do it?
Well, that's kind of tricky. No, not knowingly. I wouldn't, because, just like anything in the hobby, we have what we have. We're not getting more. If I was going to say, it's kind of tricky because people did in the past, I'm sure. Like, there's not a lot of knowledge about the US like blackhead lines. Like there are some, like Derek Roddy has done a really good job of tracing back certain zoo acquisitions and things like that. But of course, there were many animals that were, smuggled in, brought in that are not discussed or understood. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is that purity is all based on the claim of a person that came before. And so the things that I understand to be Westerns, I'm not going to mix, but I'm also not going to pretend to know whether they're pure, I suppose.
Didn't the Exantic gene in Easterns likely originate from Westerns? As I think I recall a past Derek Roddy episode where he talked about one of the older keepers saying, "Oh, you get Easterns and Westerns in the same clutch because you got Exantics and normals."
I've heard Derek say that as well. I mean, whoever said that and whatever clutch they were hatching, that has to be what they had going on. But I know there's two lines of Exanthic. There's an A and a B, but I couldn't tell you where they popped out of. I'm not sure. I think Derek says they popped out of zoo line stuff. Like,
yeah,
but
might have been Dick Gergen or somebody like that.
Yeah, Gergen was an early player for sure. But Gergen also had some pure Western stuff. But yeah, not to digress too much, but to answer the question, I would like to keep what we have, not pure because I'm not going to pretend to know, but what it is, at the very least, I think that the animals that we have in the States that are thought to be Westerns, if they're not pure, they're incredibly high percentage Western. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that because over here, there's no such thing as Eastern or Western. I don't think I've ever seen one blackhead that is Eastern or Western in Canada.
There is. I have a buddy who has at least one, if not a pair of Westerns that he was able to get.
Where did he get
But they were imported from Europe.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. They were Michael Aslam's. He got them from him, traded them, cool. I believe.
That'd be cool. So, well, almost nobody breeds them. And when you see them here, the prices are ridiculous. They are ugly. Like, they're really muddied. And I think they're some of the ugliest blackheads I've seen in a long time when you see them up. And they're like 5K, 4K, like insane prices. And it's just like, it's not Eastern, it's not Western, it's not documented, right? It's just a blackhead. So
sure.
To me, I think they're not worth it until you have some real animals. Like, I don't even know if I'd prefer Eastern or Western. I just prefer one of the two. Like, not just.
I believe they're probably mostly Easterns. There was some like het hypo and het albino stuff. I believe all the stock that was or is still in the country is probably from Paul Harris through those imports.
I was going to say,
but that's been over the last 15, 20 years likely.
Yeah, and I know of one person who's imported the ones from Paul, but Paul doesn't write if they're Eastern or Westerns. He just says black-headed python, so it's not really written. And his are het something. I don't know. So
I think they're het Exanthic.
He has albinos, he has hypos, and Cody Joe had all three hets, I believe, including visual Exantics. But then it sounds like people, like, they've sold off some of the projects, or some of them sadly passed away. Like the Exantic, I think they sold it off. And then the guy killed it in 6 months, overfeeding it, kind of thing. So it's just brutal. And then you get odd males that come up for $1,500 because nobody can find any females, or they've just bounced around. So yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, totally. I know in terms of like the Swiss line stuff, that's discussed as a cross of Eastern and Western animals, that somebody was doing that over in Switzerland, and I think his name was like George. I'm not even going to pretend to know how to say it. Starts with an M. Somebody named George M. But Derek's done so many podcasts, and in terms of the knowledge that he has, that's all documented in his episodes. But yeah, I just feel like with blackheads in particular too, they were such a high value animal that I'm sure there was a lot that happened that we're not privy to, that we never will be, that's all mixed into the pie as well.
So you talk about having a lot of rough times and lots of kicking the nads, right, from the blackheads. So
Yeah.
um, what did you learn? What did you learn? What did you adapt? What have you changed? Like, because I find like when you breed those difficult species that really kick you in the ass, eventually you adapt, you change, you modify, you learn. So what have you changed since you've been keeping them? What are you doing to improve your success? Kind of a generalized
Well,
question there.
yeah, I think we'll probably have to have another conversation in a few years and revisit that. You know, I produced them in 2022 from my pair of Westerns from Dan Vermelia. And I got a beautiful clutch of, I think it was 7 perfect looking eggs with great veins and clear embryos. And they all but 3 immediately started windowing, leaking fluid, breaking down within the first 48 hours. It was just a really terrible experience of, you know, elation fading, watching the clutch slowly die over the course. Well, some very quickly and others very slowly over the course of, 2 months. I was lucky enough to get 2 good babies out of that, their eggs uh, were viable, but the rest of the clutch was not. So why? I have no idea. I think there's a lot of things about blackheads that are very much unresolved. Item number 1, why does it seem like we have so much of a harder time with them in the States than people that work with them in Australia? They don't really have the reputation for being as hard. My understanding is, anyway, with keepers in Australia. Why do a lot of our eggs here crash? It doesn't seem like that's the case all the time in Australia. Why do the babies not want to eat at all, even if presented with native reptilian prey? Again, it sounds like in Australia they don't have nearly as hard a time. And what effect does maintaining a reptile specialist on a diet of rodents and birds, what effect does that have on the population and their reproductive success? I think those are all open-ended questions. It seems like they really like to breed and they really like to build follicles, but they don't really like always to ovulate and turn those into eggs. So the last few years I've had that happen, where I've had some pairs breed like crazy, balloon up. You can feel chicken egg size, balls in there, and then they just never ovulate and reabsorb, which sounds familiar to what a lot of people observe trying to breed Boelen's pythons. Yeah, there's a lot there, and I wish that I had, that's the $20,000 question, all of them. Why are blackheads?
Did you try? Obviously, you've probably tried many things. What do you have a gut feeling what it might be? Like, could it be food cycle? Could it be
In terms of
starving
why
them for
they
like a
don't
whole year,
ovulate?
maybe? Or like, well, it sounds like they're almost ovulating, or no, they're not ovulating.
The last
Or
2 years that I had 2 females that built enormous
is there?
follicles and did not ovulate.
Yeah.
But the year
Oh,
before that,
okay.
I've bred them 3 times. I bred the first
Yeah.
clutch that we discussed. I bred my Eastern pair, but they laid eggs while I was on tour, and the eggs never made it into the incubator. And then I bred an additional Western female from Derek Roddy, but she got egg bound and prolapsed, and died. So
Wow,
uh,
rough.
That's a kick to the nuts.
yeah, it was. And again, you get the babies, and then they don't recognize food as food, and you have to just shove things down their throat until they decide to live for months. So yeah, they're just so fun. You should all spend thousands of dollars and get them. They're just so fun.
Yeah, they look like it.
Yeah.
It's really funny too, because Womas are the exact opposite, but we'll get there. To answer your question on why, I don't know. I think that we have a lot to learn, and we don't have the, like, I guess, infrastructure, if you will, to feed them a native diet, like a wild, more natural diet. It would, you could, but it would
what
be.
are you feeding your adults? Are you feeding them like mostly bird?
So
Or
I
are you
really
still like a
liked
mix of
that.
both?
I really
or...
liked the bird thing until I saw statistics on the macronutrients and found that Cortinix quail are actually more fatty than a rodent. That was a bummer to see. But yeah, I feed them everything: bird, mice, rats,
How about
stillborn
other?
snakes.
I was gonna say, are you feeding them other snakes, like baby snakes that don't make it?
I have.
Yeah.
They don't. Mine have been mostly uninterested. I've had them take like stillborn carpet pythons maybe once or twice, but typically they don't want it. The indigos will eat them, but the blackheads haven't wanted them
I was gonna say,
in my experience.
I don't have any blackheads, but my womas definitely will eat them.
Nice.
So, which is kind of cool. It's fun. Like
Yeah.
you're recycling, right? It's
Oh yeah, I do that whenever I can. What I do do is I save the stillborn carpets, or what have you, and I use those to start the baby blackheads. I assist fed half a carpet python for each of them, because that's a lot easier to slide down. And yeah, I've done that a few times. I have some baby blackheads right next to me that I'm working on getting feeding and established this year that I didn't produce. Somebody else did, but they haven't. I acquired them before they were feeding. So I am doing that dance this year, but I didn't produce them. I just wanted more pain.
very nice. So let's go. Obviously, your Woma collection isn't like intense. It's beautiful. Like those are
Thank you.
some of the nicest Womas I know out there. Majority of Womas are really not that nice. People tend to just pair whatever Woma they have to whatever Woma, right? So yours is
I appreciate that.
it's beautiful. So how do you compare your Womas to your blackheads? And if you go into comparisons, I'd love to like hear incubation differences and all that. And obviously, there's a huge difference, but yeah.
Yeah, no, Womas are the best. They are super hardy and easy to care for. They breed, well, at least for me so far, I have not paired Womas and not gotten eggs yet. Undefeated with them. They really like to breed. They're like as straightforward as it gets. The babies all eat frozen fuzzies right out of the egg, no problem. In my experience, it's been a dream. They just are so lovely and atone for the sins of their sister species. And incubation wise, I do everything the same now, over the last couple of years, which is the layer cake method, I call it, which is a layer of dry perlite, a layer of damp vermiculite, and then a layer of dry perlite on top of that. And I got that from Brett Bender. And I've had 100% hatch rate using that method for all of my Woma clutches, and all of, the carpet pythons, Brettles, green trees, diamonds,
I was going to ask, are
everything.
you incubating the same thing for all the other Morelias?
In terms of the setup,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
everything. I do everything that way now.
do you put the
And I
eggs? Sorry, go.
haven't gotten a blackhead clutch since discovering this beautiful method.
And are
So
you putting eggs on the top layer of perlite partially in, or are you putting them on like a light diffuser?
yeah, just right on the top layer of dry perlite.
How deep? Like, are you just
Mm,
exposing maybe 20-30%, or are you going like half in?
Not deep. No, just a very gentle nestle. Maybe like 5 to 10% of the egg is in the perlite. Just a little indentation, little cup, so
Yes.
they don't roll. But
See,
yeah,
I'm a huge fan of incubating over water. I just found
cool,
like it works as well as everything else, and nothing gets dirty. There's
nice.
nothing to buy. It's cheap. It's like, no, you know what I mean. Like, there's nothing worse than mixing
Yeah.
vermiculite. It literally goes everywhere. Like, I freaking hate that
Oh
stuff
yeah. I feel like I breathe the perlite and vermiculite dust and like lose a year of my life.
every time.
Yeah. It's so fine and just gets into all the cracks of the lungs. But yeah, no, that's great. I would be super excited to try that. I haven't yet, but um yeah, like I've wanted to do blackheads the same way to see if I had better luck than my first clutch, but I haven't gotten a clutch to try it with. But I know people like Derek and um Joseph Carlson and others seem to put their blackhead eggs in a box with paper towel and no water. And, um, you know, I don't think anybody has more success hatching blackhead eggs than Derek does. So that kind of throws a wrench in everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, he definitely makes it look way too easy.
so bizarre. Eh?
Yeah, I've been talking Casey Lazick. I've been talking to him a lot. He's become a dear friend, and he says he does his Womas and blackheads exactly the same, and he's hatched some beautiful clutches of westerns the last couple of years with 100% hatch rate. So, and definitely not zero water. So I think it's just there's no golden rule.
87, 88,
I like 88.
and same from start to end. No change in temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I used to do a night drop. I used to do like 1 degree night drop on the incubator. Just because I heard uh, Jason Hood talking about doing that at one point for, um, I think it was for humidity or something. I don't remember, or condensation management. I don't remember, but I stopped doing it because I don't think it was doing anything that mattered.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of keeping it simple. The
Mm-hmm.
more you complicate things, the worse it could get. How about the size of your bin? So I'm a big fan of. I think that the bigger the bins are for the eggs, the less problems you tend to have, right? So I don't know about you.
Interesting.
Like, are you like I don't put like if a carpet clutch is you got a carpet clutch, they're not in the 6 quarts, they're in the larger like 16 or 17 quarts. So I've always found that a larger volume of air around tends to work well for me, and I've had really good high odds. But I incubate over water, right? So how about you?
Okay.
Are you like really filling up that those eggs in there? Because I know when you have vermiculite, like if you fill up, you're almost losing half the bin with vermiculite, right?
Yeah, I
Or
mean, with
perlite.
the layers, there's quite a bit of substrate in there. I'm losing maybe like 60% of the bin, but um I use like a 7 liter bin, I think it is. What is that in? I just pulled it up on Amazon. It's 14 by 9 1/4 by 4 3/4. That's the bin that I've been using for everything. But I don't know if that's the best thing to do. It's just been what I've been doing. What you say makes a lot of sense in terms of the air, additional air. I think that's probably good. My incubation game could use more attention.
What size did you say?
They're about 14 inches by 9.25 by 4.75 high.
So these are the typical little Sterilite you see. That's the 5.7 liters. I'm a big fan of using like like these size, the bigger ones.
Cool.
I don't know if you can see it. I've had a lot more success using that, but everybody does it differently, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think at the moment I'm just focusing on minimizing variables and dialing it in for the one approach in the one box. But that's just been over the last couple of years. I'm sure I'll mess around with different stuff in the future. Just trying to have a baseline of, I know this works. And so far, this one does for everything so far. Yeah. I feel like the chondro clutch doing so well and never having issues with the Woma eggs in it gives me hope that it would do well with blackheads if I was lucky enough to get another clutch.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If I had blackheads or womas, I don't think I'd incubate the same way I'm doing it with the carpet pythons. I've incubated spotteds, pygmies, angolans, all the different carpets, all that over water, and I've had always like really great success. But I feel like those two, I probably would do a lot less water. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, you can always add more if eggs start sinking in, but if it's too wet in there, then what's done is done.
Yeah. So you've gotten a lot of species. You've gotten in and out of a lot of species. Yeah, am I wrong?
No, yeah, I have. I like to dabble.
So you want to explain a bit the species you've gone into, why you've gotten out? Like I can tell you, I've gone into some species and got rid of them, especially when I was younger. And I'm pretty sure you're good. Like you're probably 20 years younger than me. So I used to keep Noah's Ark too. I've done it during that time, and I've really targeted into what I love. So what got you to where you are? Because I'm pretty sure you've dabbled into monitors, you've dabbled into garter snakes, you've dabbled into a couple of other colubrids too, right? Like maybe hognose? No,
didn't
not
do
quite
hognose.
sure.
I had
No,
false water cobra.
oh, equally out there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I used to work at the East Bay Vivarium when I was fresh out of school, and so I got to work with a very large assortment of different species, and so I've always kind of had a wide net for what interested me and what I was exposed to, and I really like variety. I don't think I could have just a room full of one thing and be happy with that. So yeah, the dwarf monitors I loved working with, and I produced a shit ton of Ackies for a little while there. But they're just a lot of, not necessarily work, I don't want to say, but a lot of really expensive high wattage mercury vapor bulbs and a lot of feeder insects and a lot of needing to be more involved than other things. So at least for right now, it's not the best fit, but there's nothing about them that I didn't like. Garter snakes, I had Lake Chapala Mexican garter snakes, and with a lot of these things, it's kind of like I didn't necessarily seek them out. In both the case of the monitors and the garter snakes, Professor Loafman sent me the garter snakes. He was like, try these. And they were super fun. I really enjoyed them. I mean, it's a total different experience to have a big glass live planted tank full of garter snakes and watching their community dynamics and watching them interact, and putting a plate full of chopped up food in there and watching them go to town on that, and um, waking up and getting your cup of coffee and noticing that there's 30 little babies crawling around one day, and you're like, oh crap. That was super fun. I really loved that. But they just kept having babies, and I decided that I was done having fun with that, and so I moved them on. But
Did that
yeah,
did that experience kind of stop you from getting something more like the salt marsh snakes, which are like a similar, maybe even a touch smaller, like
I
that?
don't know
What is it,
much about those.
Nerodia clarki?
Oh, Nerodia. I would definitely be open
They're
to
they're just a
working
bit
with.
smaller. I think Dr. Loftman has a few of them. I think
Yeah, he
it's
loves
one of the
Nerodia.
it's one of those cool ones that that's like not as known as like the typical
That's all the
banded
water
waters or
snakes, right?
whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the clarki are like smaller, and you get like the cool coppery orange ones and stuff.
Oh yeah, no,
I just wonder,
that's
they
sweet.
just have a few less babies at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not closed off to keep to revisiting or visiting other species. It's just I can't do it all at once.
Fair enough. So, one thing I've noticed is often people, when you hear about them talking about their, I'm going to call it their origin stories, if you like. My first animal was a ball python, just like many others. I've gotten a second ball python. I think I kept them for like 15 years, and I never put them together because in the 90s, it wasn't about putting them together, it was just about keeping.
Mm.
My third animal, which was pretty early on too, was a carpet python. And I think that carpet python's kind of what led me down the way. And that was the animal that really made it for me. And it's brought me into only keeping basically Australian animals. In your case, your first was a corn snake, right? So
Well,
why didn't you become a colubrid guy? Like why didn't it take you down that avenue?
sure. Yeah. And I was, I'll prove your point even further. I was going to say when I was a kid, I definitely kept garter snakes and I think other corn snakes. So I had other colubrids as a kid too, along with a whole bunch of critters. I mean, I had everything but a dog as a kid. But yeah, I don't know. I think once I got that corn snake, I got it from Pet Shop Santa Cruz was the name of the place, and it's a family owned business there, and Aaron and Brandon, who own that shop, produce a lot of amazing Australian animals as well. And so when I was going in for feeders, I'd see their jungles, I'd see their womas, and they just kind of captured me on another level. I think they were just more interesting to me and more impressive, and um I was both like drawn to that and also like a little bit terrified of them, like, to be honest. Like a big old carpet python was super scary to me, but I also was kind of like interested in that. So I I had the corn snake. I went home for summer that year. That was after my sophomore year of college, and I picked up a rosy boa at East Bay Vivarium, and I adopted a ball python from a friend, the other guitarist in my band, and that was my band of three. A rosy boa, a corn snake, and a ball python for some time. And then I went to my first reptile show that summer and bought a baby carpet python um, that was a granite jag, which is funny. And just that was just easily the automatic favorite. I think that, yeah, I don't know. It just, it was just more interesting. It captured my attention. And then I started really researching and went down the NPR rabbit hole. and yeah, ballooned from there. I guess they
Was
just
there
kind
like an
of chose me more than the colubrids did.
uh, was there like an NPR episode that like stuck out into your head that like really got you hooked right
Definitely like
away?
the Nick episodes. I would just be listening to the archive, and yeah, like Brettles Round Table, um, that older edition of that, and yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
I
think the
remember.
early
I think
Nick
I remember
episodes
when.
pulled me in.
Yeah, those are. I think those are all good because they're all like similar but different. Because he
Mm-hmm.
always rants about something else, which is like
Mm-hmm.
great. Makes for a great listening for the 3 hours that he's usually on for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No
definitely.
matter no matter what it's
you
And
only
then I
need
end up
to.
talking
getting him
about.
on the phone, and buying a Brettles from him while still in college, and um, he really kind of took me under his wing, and within a couple of years of first calling him and picking up that first baby Brettles, he sent me a group of adults on breeding loan that were the first snakes that I learned how to breed, and he's kind of been coaching me through it the whole way. So yeah, very
So
grateful.
off of the kind of how your collection's developed and kind of your collection management and how it's kind of changed. Are you still working with a few Brettles at least, or like how has that morphed with your collection?
I am, yeah, definitely. I have a clutch that's going to be hatching this week. From uh, I have the founder hypo female that Nick imported from Europe in 2009. She laid for me last year and again this year, paired to a hypo stonewashed. And funny enough, that founder female is het stonewashed, which was at the time a surprise to all, but that's why we have pure hypo stonewash. And so yeah, that is the pair that I currently have, and um, I love Brettles. I never would want to have no Brettles. There's always got to be some. I probably have to hold back a few from this clutch and raise them up, but yeah.
Have you ever wondered if the hypo gene is really just the normal wild type? Yeah,
Yes,
is that what?
I have. I think
Yeah,
I've said it on podcasts a bunch that I think that it is not a morph.
yeah.
Yeah. But we'll never know.
So just coming back to that, I'm just curious because there's a few morphs in Bredley's. The hypo came with the stonewashed. The
Well,
genetic stripe did not, right? Is the genetic stripe
so
not related to it?
so the stonewash popped out of Lazic line, normal Lazic line animals that were already in the States. And I believe it.
And in Canada in
Right.
some
Yeah, it
projects
has
that
popped up. Yeah.
that are now Stonewash Diamond Jags.
Oh Jesus. Uh,
my buddy just
Shoot
got
me in the
a
head.
pair.
But congratulations to him. I'm happy for him. But
Oh, he got them straight from Dawn as adults, and they laid a clutch. So he's
that's
gonna have some funky babies hatching out.
whatever
But yeah,
floats the boat. But yeah, so the stonewash popped out independently in multiple locations, but it was primarily, I believe it popped out in some normal animals that Brian Barczyk had, and it popped out in some normal animals that somebody, I think his name was like Nick Stark or something like that, um, from normal like Lazic line stuff, and Nick acquired it from that guy. And then the genetic stripes popped out of like the original animals that Casey Lazic produced, um, when Brettles were first produced in the States. So the founders were het for stripe.
And those founders were hypo or not hypo?
No, they were not. They were, the founders of that Lazic line. And then the hypo came in again via Nick importing from Europe in 2009. And that some of the animals in that founding shipment, while being hypo, also turned out to be het for stonewashed. But none of the founding hypos turned out to be het for stripe. So all of the hypo stripe stuff, you have to cross streams and dilute the hypo and work back to, breeding a higher percentage hypo into that.
Fair enough. And just to understand, I'm pretty sure that's how it works, but you guys are you categorize them as percentages, right? You breed a hypo to a normal, you're down to a 50% hypo.
I think that is how most people have been doing it. That's how I did it when I was breeding the 50% hypos that Nick sent me. It's not a perfect system because it is, a polygenic trait where if you breed that 100% hypo to a normal, you're going to have a wide variety of phenotypes in the offspring, depending on how many of the hypo alleles the baby hits on. And so you'll have some that look, as good as a full blood hypo, and you'll have some that look not hypo at all, normal, and you'll have everything in between. So calling the entire clutch 50% is a little bit unhelpful when that's not representative of what we actually are going to see and what is evident, because the baby in a 50% clutch that didn't get hypo alleles and looks normal, that thing's babies aren't going to be hypo. Like the alleles aren't hiding, there's no like het thing going on there. So it's kind of, there is also a little bit of responsibility on the breeder to then call the ones that didn't get the goods normals, regardless of what your pairing was. So it gets a little messy.
Yeah, I've always seen.
Interesting.
Sorry, you want to go, Mike? No. I've always seen a bit the hypo, kind of like the tiger and coastals, where you breed a tiger to tiger, you get basically all tigers. You breed a hypo to hypo, you get all hypos, right? But then if you breed a tiger to a normal or a hypo to a normal, you will get some that will have no tiger at all, some that will visually have no hypo at all. But if you breed that non-visual animal back to a hypo, full-blood hypo, or a non-visual tiger to a full-blood tiger, you get a ridiculous amount of good percentage. Because even though you don't see it, I find that you're talking about those alleles that didn't hit, but I think there's a lot of those alleles that did hit. They're just not phenotypically showing. So I feel like when you're breeding back those non-visual, they're still going to be, if they're bred back to the 100% animal, it's incredible your percentages. So like I've always, like when I sell a tiger that's been bred to a normal or a non-tiger animal, I'll just sell it as this is what it is, and I'll write like from tiger lineage, even though it doesn't look tiger. I feel like it's
good point. I mean, we can't see everything, and in terms of the number of relevant alleles and what genes are involved, it's all guesswork. We don't know, and we can't tell. So totally makes sense what you're saying, where there's going to be some artifacts of the past pairings that are not visual.
So you'd say, I don't know that much about Bredleys. I actually don't keep them anymore. So Bredley would be polygenic for hypo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it recessive for genetic stripe and recessive for the other one, whatever it's called?
Stonewashed.
Yeah, there you go. Is it recessive as well?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
And the stonewash is almost along the lines of those like reduced pattern diamonds, where it's almost like a type of pied. to an extent. Like obviously it's not like a pied, but
Yeah, they have
it's kind of
piebald
a
markings on the
similar thing.
bellies. The stonewash do.
Interesting.
Yeah, they have patches of yellow and white splotches on the belly. Yeah, Nick would be able to tell
Nice.
you more about all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we definitely have to have him
Yeah,
on.
but if you have Nick on, you'll have like 2 questions you can ask, because then after that, that's
Mhm.
the 3-hour podcast.
And it'll still be a great
Oh,
listen.
it'll be amazing. You know it'll be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, our last couple episodes were pretty good like that.
So you touched on the Stardust. Actually, I'd love to talk. I don't know if you know much about the Stardust. If you're into diamonds, you probably know enough. What's your opinion on it? What do you think is the genetic reproduction? Do you think it's polygenic? Do you think it's incomplete? What are you thinking?
I'll be honest, I really don't actually know
Oh
anything
no.
about it. No, no, there should be none of that in my animals, although it sounds like it just pops out sometimes, but I really haven't been anywhere near that rabbit
They're all
hole.
from the same diamond shipment.
Oh, they probably
Well,
are. They probably are.
Well, who actually knows? But it's kind of funny how the reduced pattern did pop out as several different
yeah,
zoo lines.
and I could totally see how there's the parallel with Stonewash. It's like, um, but you know, another counterpoint to that theory is that it might also just be that the area where animals were easily collected in Australia, it might just be kind of the same general zone that's near the road that people get to, and the population there might all just kind of have these traits. Are people really going like super far into the jungle when they could just pick a snake off the tree right next to the road in a certain, well-known area? That's kind of the counter argument is, yeah, they all have this trait because they're all from the same rock pile or, something like that. But we'll never know.
Yeah, I find it
And
kind of
then put it in
frustrating
the
over
nearest
something like
mailbox
Stardust,
at
'cause
the end of the street.
yeah, Stardust has been out for so long, right? And how do we still don't know how it reproduces?
Yeah,
Like
that seems really weird to me too, as somebody that's not part of it at all. Like, what's everyone doing?
well, like I have one Stardust and one normal. I feel like just that breeding, okay, you look at what you have, but now the problem is my normal wild type, is it het? And is it het only if that would mean that it's recessive, right? If not, if it's incomplete dominant, then I'm like, if I produce Stardust from a Stardust to a normal now, is it because my animal was possibly already het? There's so many, but I feel like it's been over 10 years that people have been breeding diamonds. How do we still don't know what it is? It blows my mind. Like
I agree with you. Yeah, I wish that I knew more to weigh in beyond saying I agree, but at this point, I just agree. That seems really weird.
all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
As Nick would say, we need to prove it out somehow.
Well, that seems like the obvious thing to do. Yeah. And I would assume that people tried, right? Or
But I think if everything's already possibly het for it, with this, like, you kind of almost have to hybridize it to a normal coastal or something.
Well, I'm happy to report
prove out
that I didn't get any of them in my 2 clutches.
that means everybody has to go and buy diamonds from Lucas to prove out
there's
their
no Stardust here. No.
I think now that you know, you most likely don't have. Or you know what? One could be het, the other one could not be. Let's say your male is normal and your 2 females are het, then 50% of your babies are het. You actually still don't know.
Shit. Yeah. Well, there is that. And then we'll see when this 3rd female comes up and produces. Anyway.
Alrighty. Do we want to pivot onto the Womas?
Yeah.
As that's like your biggest production right now and some of your nicest
Michael.
looking animals, for sure.
Thank you. Sure.
Alrighty. So what lines of Womas are you working with? Obviously, you got some from Artavilis, and maybe I'm trying to rack my brain, but I think you've probably got some from a few other folks as well.
I can. So, I mean, there's not really... it's again, it's kind of a mishmash. Like there's not well-defined lines per se in general. I do have a few things though that might change that. But my best male I got in 2020 from Dan Vermelia, and Dan, the parents of that, he got from Art. So Art Avilas is a great dude, good friend that also came up working at the East Bay Vivarium. He's local to me. I see him at the shop all the time. He got a lot of his really nice Womas from somebody named Todd Trowbridge, who is also here in the Bay Area. Was really good friends with Doug Price. Todd is a dear friend as well. But in any case, all that to say, I did kind of get my my Avilas. The animals that I had that are from Art were from Dan, because Art hasn't really been producing a lot of Womas in recent years, but he did produce some of the best around for a very long time. So kind of that really beautiful fluorescent high orange stuff. A lot of that is a product of Art's animals. So yeah, I've got those. I've got some animals that are from Barry Miller's I guess line, if you will. So Barry Miller, Womas, and crossing those two streams has yielded some really great results. I think that the really, really beautiful high orange male that I was lucky to get from Dan, that thing just produces ridiculous offspring with everything that I've paired him to. His genes are very strong. And let's see, I was just in the right place at the right time. I don't have any lineage information at all, but my best Woma female that I ever had was an animal that I called Tangy. I was able to acquire her from like a father and son that just had the one snake as a pet, and they didn't like it because Womas bite everything. And so I picked that animal up from them because they just wanted like a family pet that wouldn't bite them, and they didn't want their Woma anymore. And she was the prettiest Woma that I've ever had. And I produced in 2023 her to my best male. I produced a clutch from them, and that is the best stuff that I have produced to date. And I'm raising up 1.2 of their offspring that I'm really excited about. I kind of actually I sold a bunch and sent a bunch away, and then she passed, and so I reacquired some of the babies. So yeah, that's kind of my most exciting stuff with the Womas that should be hopefully ready to go in a year or two. And then I also am working with some Tanami Desert locality animals that were imported by a guy named Warren Klein from South Africa. And those are really, really cool just because they are a locality and unrelated to the U.S. stock. Hoping to produce those this upcoming season for the first time. So, yeah.
Very cool. So, just by curiosity, you're talking about having that clutch from your two best looking ones. Mm-hmm. Two things. One, and do you notice any ontogenic color change as they raise? And two, how are you picking them? What made you say, I want those ones?
Well, the pattern is the pattern out of the egg. So in terms of evaluating banding, you can pretty reliably do that right off the bat. But color definitely comes in over time. and I feel like a lot of the orange bellies, start to come in after a couple sheds, but it's kind of guesswork, which ones are going to be the most filled in and vibrant into adulthood. Um, I don't think that you're really settled on what your animal looks like until maybe 2 or 3 years old on a standard feeding regimen. Um, and then, of course, the really nice ones are the ones that stay pretty. So, I have some older animals that I was able to acquire. I actually acquired the parents of my 2020 male, which are, the Artavilas animals. And they are, 12 years old at this point and still vibrant and beautiful. Um, Whereas other animals definitely fade after the 5, 6 year old mark, it seems. But no, when I'm picking them, I'm definitely picking uh, really clean, well defined banding, because I like that. I'm not a big fan of the reduced pattern thing um, that pops up. And then I am just going for the most vibrant uh, color that I can. But it is a bit of a guessing game. I sent one to Casey Lazick that he posted a picture of that made me want to cry. It's like it is much prettier than the sisters that I held back. So, it's an imperfect uh, game, or it's not a science, I guess, that I have completely cracked. Just best guesses. I should have kept them all, but I need money too. So,
Yeah,
Not in the
at least it went into good hands.
oh yeah, yeah. No doubt about that. And he sent a really beautiful mail back my way as well. I'm really fortunate to have. He has some insane Womas, but yeah.
very nice. So basically, as adults, they're kind of like just most of Morelia. Then they kind of start out not so pretty. They get to their nicest, best looking at like 3, 4, 5, 6. Would that be fair to say? And then as they get much older animals, they dull out. Is that
I think that's fair to say, but I don't
yeah?
think they all dole out. Um, I think some dole more than others, similar to like blackheads.
Okay, yeah,
Uh,
because I was gonna say most older blackheads look like just faded out,
mm,
muddied animals. Anyway, that's
a
what I've
lot,
seen. Like, and that's I
yeah.
think a lot of people
I have
just.
some 2002s here that are still really
Oh,
pretty,
really? I think
but
it's one
those
of
are the
those.
westerns.
Okay, I was gonna say I think a lot of those people just tend to show the picture of when it was at 5 years old, not when it's at
Oh yeah,
15.
yeah, definitely, and I get that. I mean, I think that's probably what most people do with anything, is show it at its best. But yeah, they definitely they do start to flash the color at you after a couple of sheds, but I don't know 100% at what point it becomes clear like who's going to be the best one. I just haven't been in a position to hold them all back and find that out yet. To the
Do
extent
you
it's
have
find
any?
outable. But yeah.
Do you guys find any Don Patterson kind of? I don't think he even categorized it as his own line, but I know he's known for kind of some nice orange
He
Womos, at
he
least up
calls
here.
his the red line.
Oh,
I don't know if that
Yeah.
means anything to you. That's what he
I
calls it.
haven't come across it, but yeah, no, that's cool.
Okay. Yeah, I know his Perthensis and that have made it down
Yes,
to you
yeah,
guys, but I
definitely.
wasn't sure if that stuff has also made it down. I'm
It's
sure it's around somewhere, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure
it's
if
totally
they labeled
possible,
it as it.
but I don't think people, in most cases, like you were saying, they don't tend to say like this is a Patterson Woma or try to keep that pure. They just Woma, put any two together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably what he did anyways. Like I don't think he even. I think it's more like other people placing a name on it when it's probably just from whoever he got his from, right?
Your
Most likely Casey.
Don does a lot of deals with Lassick. As far as I know, he's really good buddies with them, and he used to, when it was easy to ship Australian animals through U.S. Canada, he used to move his animals through him, and vice versa, very very frequently. He's having a lot of struggles now because U.S. Fish and Wildlife are unpredictable. Let's put it that way, and have made it a lot harder. But a lot of animals that have come from him have gone through Lazic. From my understanding, I might be wrong, but my conversation with him, that's what he was talking about.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, talking about Lazic line, just to spur off from Womas for a second, have you thought about keeping Angolans yet? Or are you waiting for Owen to breed some and then he can take some from them?
They don't really do it for me. They're cool, but I'm not interested.
So why?
Yeah, you sound like you're in Dominic's camp.
I want to know the why. I've tried it. I've bred them 3 years, and they did nothing for me.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think they're just like, I get it. They're really cool. I respect them as a species, but I don't really want to keep them.
So for me, the big thing was prehensile tail, and I know it sounds weird, but every animal is at least semi-arboreal here, and I'd love to see an animal hanging all that. And to me, that's just a slug that falls off a branch. Like, that's something that I really like. To me, I don't get a snake. How can a snake not hold on to a branch? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, you probably wouldn't like my dirt snakes then either.
Oh.
The sand python, yeah.
Which ones?
Womas.
Oh, I have Womas. I actually kind of they somewhat hold on. You don't think so?
Yeah. I mean, yes, but I wouldn't call their tail prehensile.
Okay, but compare it to an Angolan that goes from large to tiny in a second.
That's fair. That's fair enough. Now, Womas totally can climb, so I need to put some respect on that. There's a really fascinating paper that documents them climbing into the trees and feeding on sleeping bearded dragons in the Brigalow Belt. So I take it back.
Oh yeah,
they're semi-arboreal.
Yeah, my old guy likes to climb around stuff. I rescued one that I think he's now like 17 or something.
Nice,
like an 07 baby. So he's doing good. He eats it. He takes the whole winter off feeding, and then slowly takes his quail in the summer. But yeah,
nice.
Awesome.
I've had the worst.
Back to Womas.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, man.
Or do you?
I was just going to say a story. I've had the worst of luck with Womas. Like, I've had 3 males now, because each time I've had females, they've turned out to be males as I've grown them up.
No.
And I only got one that finally came in as a female and actually was a female. And I was all excited. And but wait, I killed her. I'll give the punchline right away. You know how everybody's done stupid mistakes. I kept reading and seeing other people and saying they kept them on sand and how cool it is to see them like pick up and scoop the sand and all that. I was like, that's just so cool, right? So I put her on sand, right? She did fine for a long time. Only problem is when you feed rodents that were thawed out in a bucket of water, right? You feed it to them, the rat goes in the sand, they eat it, and then they get all that sand all around on their saliva, around their mouth. She fused her mouth shut. So the saliva and the sand had actually tied her lips together, and I couldn't really tell. I couldn't see it. She just stopped eating for a little while. Took over a month before I noticed that her mouth wasn't opening anymore. And I finally pulled her out. I ripped off, like, it was like a good 3 or 4 millimeters of saliva and sand caked that had taped the mouth shut. Anyway, so she was sick after that. RI, I could never fight it off, and eventually it passed away. So anyway, that's been my story of Womas. I've had Womas for about 8 years, and I've never been able to raise up a female yet. So it's the one species that I'd love to breed, and now I still have one male, and I still don't have females.
Dang,
so
yeah, that's brutal.
I'm not there yet.
I will say too, they're the easiest snake to pop of anything that I've ever produced. So I don't know how people are missexing them for you. Yeah.
But I have a buddy that breeds them breeds them every 2 years, and he's had almost full clutches of males each time. He has only they give out
Dang.
about 6 or 7 eggs, and it's always been all males. So it's been like,
Yeah.
I'll wait another
Gnarly.
2 years. I'll wait another 2 years. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I don't know how to do it, but if I can send something to Canada, you let me know and I'll send you something,
I
dude.
would love it. I'd try. I'd love it, but I don't think it's that simple. The problem
Oh
is
man.
you can't guarantee your animals will get here because even though you can apply for the permits, everything, it doesn't guarantee that you Fish and Wildlife will let it through.
Dang.
So we have no
Well,
problems getting Australian animals through the border from anywhere else in the world, just not United States.
that makes a
So
lot of sense.
you guys are fun. We love our American brothers.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I just had my.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get some Bahama boas down from Steve Woodward, but Fish and Wildlife wanted more information than what we can kind of provide, even though they were brought in the thousands in the 80s and 90s. So even though it's a legal West Indian boa that nobody would even smuggle, that nobody even cares about, they were like, oh well, you don't have like 4 generations of lineage on it.
That's
Like
ridiculous. Yeah.
they wouldn't approve it. But I'm sure if it landed on somebody else's desk, it would have been like, that's good.
Totally.
Next. So it's hard to deal with sometimes.
Good to know.
Uh,
All right.
yeah. For the Womas, how do you have yours set up, and like how hot are you keeping them, and like how cool are you dropping them in the winter kind of thing?
Yeah, so I have some in racks, I have some in cages. Just standard high 80s, low 90s hot spot. My apartment, I don't have heat or air conditioning, so they fluctuate with the seasons quite a bit in terms of ambient. And my main room definitely falls into the mid 60s, occasionally low 60s during the winter. So they always have, in the rack, they always have the hotspot left on from the heat tape in the back. And then in the cages, I use thermostats obviously and whatnot. So they have the heat, but I'd say the ones in the rack probably um, get decently cold during the winter. And um, I've produced, God, maybe like 7 or 8 clutches over the last few years, and all of those animals were in the rack setup and got pretty cold. So yeah, and I keep them on like a sandy chip style substrate, which is not sand, but they can push it around and do all that kind of stuff with it. I do see them doing the scooping because it's kind of loose and granule, but yeah, that's really about it. They're straightforward. Nothing weird. Very simple.
If somebody was okay with getting bit, you would kind of recommend it almost as like a good semi-beginner snake.
Oh
Like if
yeah, they
somebody like
could.
knew what they were getting into, like they're super hardy, and as
No,
long as
yeah,
they're feeding well,
there's nothing hard about them other than they will bite you probably. But care wise, it's as easy as it gets. And I will say too,
they
every single Woma that I've produced has been puppy dog tame, docile for the first year. The babies don't bite. But once they get to be about a year or 2 old, that's when they start chewing everything.
I was
So
gonna say it's
don't
not
get
even
lured into a false sense of security.
it's not even biting, right? It's that stupid where they just go,
Oh
they're
yeah,
on your hands
yeah,
and they just like put their head in, then they tilt it, and then
yep,
you're like, okay, here it comes. Takes about 2 3 seconds, and then they just go like idiots. For
exactly.
it's so annoying. It's always like you got to move your hands out of it because you know it's about to come.
Yes,
Same
yeah,
thing with
100%.
blackheads, or is that just a Woma thing?
No, it's definitely more of a Woma thing. The blackheads, the westerns that I have are more bitey than the easterns. They're not trustworthy, but they don't really do the nose nuzzling thing. They just kind of sideswipe um, if they're going to do it. Yeah. But
Nice.
all in all, the blackheads tend to be more handleable without bloodshed. Yeah, compared to the
Nice.
Womas. The Tanamide Woma female, though, is like, she's the only adult Woma that I have that I can handle without getting bit. I don't know why, but she's chill.
Yeah, those were on the last Paul Harris import as well. I was like, it's like, ooh, do
Oh,
I want to
really?
spend 3 or 4 grand? It's like,
Yes, and then send them to
they are pretty
me.
cool though. Yeah, they're on the import list from Paul. Same with the Gammon range; those are on
Dang.
there too.
So I could do that. I could
As
buy
long
that.
as they'll approve the paperwork.
Oh, bastards.
Yeah, but you see, like we'd have no
Yeah.
problems bringing all that in from UK, just not from the States. And you guys, there's a couple of people in your neck of the woods, and I know you know someone who's got gammon range too. So they're out there.
I know. I'm waiting for them to be more plentiful. What's he doing?
Yeah, we'll leave it. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So what's the future for Centralian Exotics? Where are you going? Are you gonna keep going deep into Woma, deep into Aspidites? Are you where are you looking to grow this?
You're
No
gonna get a bunch of
particular
Jamaican
direction.
bows from Bobby Pebbles.
Oh God, I have a pair. Not from him, but I do have a pair.
Then you need the Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, those are cool too. Oh man, yeah, I completely forgot to tell you all about my boas when we were talking about species. I've got Jamaican boas.
Oh,
I
you
have
can
Sanzinia.
spill the
I have
bows.
Tarahumara Mountain. I have Crawl Cay. I have Costa Rica, Liberia. Anyway, I think that I'm not going in any particular direction at all. I think that I will continue to have a lot of different things and try to produce as many different things each year as I can and be a bastion of variety and eclectic decisions.
Awesome. I feel like that's how I have to be. I got my few Bahama boas, which are Kylobothras as well. That they're their own project and they're super cool. And there's only a couple in the country. But then I got my Kentucky pines, and then Subox. I got the pair from Smitty, and then I was able to import some from Rob Nemo, along with a really nice Kentucky from Rob Nemo, and then
Nice.
some other odds and ends. And I'm getting Angolans at a show in a couple weeks because they've been picking at my brain, and I'm not sure if I wanted to get roughies or not. And I was like, those Angolans look pretty cool, and they've been itching at me for a couple of years. So I was like,
Yeah.
I know. I just saw Don had another clutch of them.
Yeah, he did.
I love my roughies.
Have you bred them yet?
No. So I had
Close?
my initial pair.
Oh, you have the kinked neck one.
I do. Yeah, my initial pair from like 2020, 2021 animals. So if I had stuck with them and raised them up, I would have been ready to produce them. But I traded that pair to get the Tanami Womas. And so I had to start over and raise up some new babies. So I'm a few years away, but I might be ready. There's a pair that I'll probably try this upcoming season that's on loan from a friend.
And how old are they?
Those are 2020 and 2021,
okay.
But the female just needs some more size. So she'll probably get there.
Yeah, I've got
and then I do have the bent neck lady from Owen. Yeah.
What do you mean by bent neck? Like, is it bad?
She sustained some kind of a injury in the box and has like an indentation on the spine near her neck. I think she fractured something. He said she was fine going into the box.
She still eats?
I don't know if he would lie to me.
Yeah.
But you ask him next week or whatever.
We will, actually. We're going to put that in as question number 1.
Did you lie to Lucas? No. She's fine though. She does everything that a snake is supposed to do without issue, and I think she'll live a normal, happy life.
Very nice. Yeah,
Awesome.
My trio of, I'm looking up because they're right there. My trio of roughies are 2021s. So I had bought a pair, turned out to be 2 females, which I was really, really happy about, and got a male. So now I've got a nice trio. They're big, man. Like, one of my females is
cool,
over 6 feet now, and probably like, Like
Oh
she's
wow.
chunky.
Yeah.
So I didn't try to breed them this year because I felt like they didn't have the head right. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that head just didn't look right for me. But this year they're definitely right, and it's and I have no idea why. It's the only species in my entire room that I am still cohabiting, and I'm not quite
Hmm.
sure why. Just because they're doing well, they look amazing all together, and
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm kind of doing it. My goal is to just once I start cooling, separating them for 3 months during the cooling, and then I'll reintroduce them together. That's what I was thinking of doing right now. But yeah, it's a pain in the ass. So I don't understand why people cohab. It's way too much work. You always got to separate them for feeding. To me, just that is just way too much work for no reason. But out of my entire collection, they're the only cohab snake, and it is pretty cool. I do like it.
So all three are
Yeah,
together,
all
not
three are
just.
together
Oh
all
wow.
year. Well, all year round except during cooling. So that's my plan. I'll see if I regret it because I haven't bred anything by cohabbing, but for some reason I decided that's what I was doing with them. I think I was missing a cage, and I decided to put all three of them together and kind of went from there.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, they're
Nice.
awesome. They're super cool.
Yeah, they them and the Angol. I just picture the Angolans like in almost a similar setup as the Roughies in like that rock shelf with a few branches. Obviously, Angolans for like Namibia, but like Roughies for the Kimberley, like that same like rock shelf, perfect display for a living room because they're not going to be like a Coluber that's going to have a big liquidy poop once a week. They're gonna have their solid poop like once every 2 weeks or a month, and they're gonna sit there and be like a good display animal.
Yeah.
It's like my perfect like stack of cages in the living room kind of thing. Eventually, that'd be cool.
So I
Absolutely.
don't know if you've seen that with yours, Lucas, but I find that roughies are ridiculously arboreal. Like I have a really large amount of branches on mine, and I'd say 95% of the time they're in the branches. They don't go down to the floor. So it's
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, bumpy chondros.
yeah, but if you compare that to the Angolan, it's 95% on the floor, not
Hmm.
the opposite. So that's why like you're comparing them as the same thing. I'm like, nah, I feel like they're the complete opposite. Like they're
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they're the exact same thing, but Angolans are in like a similar area where they live on like the rock shelves. They're not climbing into trees too much, but they like live in similar habitat, probably just fitting in slightly separate niches. Is what I've observed from what I've kind of taken in from information. But yeah,
fair enough. My
alrighty. I think
uh,
a good question to as like a final question almost would be what's like a cool herping story that you've had recently? Obviously, you live in California and you do field herping a bit, and obviously it was a part of your job.
Hmm.
And you keep a couple native herps. What's like a fun herping story you've encountered in the last year or two that's really memorable for you? Last week we had Bill Hughes talking about how he almost killed himself on the side of a mountain flipping a Zonata. That was really cool. But
Nice.
yeah,
That
no,
sounds like a blast. Let me think. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not. I don't have anything like crazy. I haven't had many mishaps. I've told the story before about when I was on a project in old growth redwood forests for work, and um, the crew told me last minute that day that they had to like emergency dewater the creek on the project, and this creek was full of Dicamptodon, California giant salamander, and like hundreds of larvae. And
I still need to
so I
find
like,
those.
oh man, yeah, no, I had to get on a freaking satellite phone because we're out in the middle of nowhere and call like the head biologist of the county parks. And I was like, they're taking the water. Like, what do you want me to do? There's gonna be no more water. She was like, do whatever you have to do, like save the salamanders. So I had my like plastic iced tea bottle from lunch, and I just rinsed that out and shoved as many salamander larvae in that thing as I could, and I was like sprinting down the hill and pouring them into the the downstream pools. And yeah, that was a pretty crazy day. That was the only thing that sticks out to me as like ridiculous. But uh more recently I got to go herping with Dr. Loafman when he was out here um a month ago, ago-ish, and that was really fun. We went to one coastal lagoon that is kind of known for having some of the most beautiful California red-sided garter snakes. In terms of like the population there is just ridiculously vibrant, and we were all kind of tromping the vegetation and looking around and searching around the lagoon, and we all just Zach kind of is lone wolf, and he just went off on his own to another corner of the lagoon, and we just hear him go like, "Oh shit!" We're just like, "Whoa, what's up?" And he's like, "It's right in front of me. It's on the side of the path." And I think he just froze because he was worried that it was going to bolt and be gone. But yeah, he made the grab, and we saw just one of the most beautiful red-sided garter snakes that I've ever seen. So that was pretty neat. Not bad for a West Virginian to come and see one of those.
Nice. Yeah.
Don't you guys have
Up here we don't have the red-sided.
No, I thought you guys did.
We just got the commons, but like here in Vancouver is the Puget Sound subspecies, and then in the interior we got the normal valley garters. So like they're actually really nice. Like sometimes we got terrestrials out when we go looking for gophers and Norpax and rubber boas and that.
Nice.
But honestly, we found more valleys in some of those basins than we did terrestrials, which is kind of hilarious. And they're like super nice. They have the nice bright yellow, black, and then a little bit of red. And it was
nice.
The last few we found are pretty cool. Here, I wish we had the blue ones because I know down by Seattle you got some nice blue Puget Sound garters. But yeah, up here it's just like the normal ones like those. You got terrestrials still. Like you got all, and then Northwesterns, which are like have like an orange stripe instead. And it's odd how you got all three subspecies sometimes like all in the same area, and I don't think they hybridize. Like it's odd how they're able to like not really. I'm sure maybe they do, but I've never really come across anything that looked like a hybrid, which is really odd when you have three species in the same genus living in like the same. Because we got the dike systems down by the farmland, down by the sea, and the garter snakes just hibernate and brumate in the big rock piles in the dikes, and they don't seem to really hybridize. Maybe they do, but I haven't really come across anything that has thrown up red flags, and you catch hundreds of them in February or in October when it's getting cool out again. So yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, still need to find rubber boas though locally.
Yeah,
there's been a couple INAT sightings like an hour away, but our good spot is 3.5 hours away in the Okanagan. But there we can almost guarantee at least 1 to 4 a night on that road.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, I finally found my first on that trip with Loafman. We got like 4.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. It's when you find them though, you're like, this is so cool, but like I also don't want to take this home. Like you're like, oh, maybe I would take it home, like just not tell anybody. But then like you find it, and you're like, I just want to let this go.
Yeah.
Like they're super cool. They're super soft. Like if we were allowed to keep them, I'd probably have a pair in like a cool naturalistic setup. But they're just super cool, and it's like amazing how like hardy they are. Because like we found some babies where like they're probably this year or last year's babies, and the thing is like probably eating 3 pinky wild mice or something, because it's just like a full sausage, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they're crazy.
So I'll ask this one more question before we close it out there. So having more babies than you've ever produced before, what do you plan on using as an outlet to move them? Are you thinking like Morph Market, shows,
Morph
etc.?
Market, Instagram. I've got some lists. I don't think it'll be too hard, luckily. But yeah, I have done the Sacramento Reptile Show in the past, which is kind of the biggest one near me. I'm not planning on doing it. I don't really like shows. I would much rather, connect with people through Instagram or Morph Market, and do things that way. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I might do one someday. But yeah, that's the plan.
So my daughter just arrived from her cottage. I'll say a huge, gigantic thank you, Lucas. I really appreciate it. If you stick,
Oh,
I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll let Michael go. Are you good to do the exit and do all that stuff? I'll be back in 5 minutes if you're still on.
Oh yeah, no
Okay, I'll be
worries.
back in 5.
Cool.
We'll be on for a minute
If you're
after I
not back
close it
there,
out.
Lucas, a million thank you. You're freaking amazing.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Alrighty. So, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how should they do that? And where
Yeah,
can they find you?
Centralian Exotics. I have Instagram, Facebook. My website has a contact field. www.centralianexotics.com. And I think my phone number is even on the website, so you can just text me. But yeah, that is the best way. I don't do super well with Facebook messages because it's super annoying how you have to like navigate to your page and try to find them. But Instagram or email is great.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Alrighty. To get a hold of Dominic, you can reach out to him on Instagram at Dom's Reptiles, or you can reach him on Facebook at Dominic Cabanu. Then I'll have that down in the show notes. To reach me, you can just message the Reptile Rejects page, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Yeah, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and I'm trying to get these on YouTube. But yeah, awesome. So everybody, you have a great evening, and for the Canadians out there, have a nice holiday Monday. Next week
Lucky.
we'll have Stephen Cush on next week. I mean, on tomorrow actually. I'm still debating on when we'll release it,
Next
so
week.
we'll see. Alrighty, you guys, take it easy.